Aloha and welcome to I Hate My Voice, the podcast where we deep dive into our dysfunctional relationships with our voices while also learning to turn it all around. My name is Nikki Dee and I'm an award-winning vocalist, transformational vocal coach, and founder of the Deeva Academy. I have just one mission with this podcast, to inspire and empower you to actually fall in love with your voice. You guys, I am so excited to be here and really, really grateful for every pair of ears that is tuning in to the provocatively named I Hate My Voice podcast, which I'm going to get into the reason that I chose that name very shortly here. But first, let me just say thank you for being here and spending your time with me. And thank you for letting me talk about my favorite subject in the world, which is the human voice. I am so incredibly passionate about vocal work. I'm obsessed with it. For me, it is more than just the work that allows me to continue to sing, which of course I love, but my vocal work, the work I do on my voice, on myself, in regards to my voice, is the most important part of my life. Honestly, it is my spiritual practice. It is my healing. It is my joy. It's where I go for energy. It's where I go for comfort. And one of my favorite things about being a vocal coach is that I get to impart that onto other people, and I get to help them find their own sort of vocal work journey that allows them to find all of the benefits that they may have never thought about before. I've actually got a list going of 21 really compelling and maybe somewhat unusual reasons why vocal work is so important to me and why I think it's one of the most important practices in human existence. So if that's not enough hyperbole for you, let me introduce myself before I get into too many details about the podcast itself. My name is Nikki Dee. Hello. I am currently based in my hometown of Honolulu, Hawaii. I had a huge gap in living here. I was born and raised here. I graduated from high school a little early. I moved to France for a year, and then I proceeded to live mostly in the U.S. mainland and a little bit overseas over many, many years. And then I came back to Hawaii just before the pandemic, but that's a story in and of itself that I will definitely get to in future episodes, because the pandemic has had such a huge effect on my vocal work and my relationship to my voice. And that's what this podcast is all about, right? It's all about taking that dysfunctional relationship and turning it around. And that is my specialty as a coach. It's to really change the mindset. It's to make a huge mindset shift in how you think about your voice, right? And I really want to emphasize the importance of treating your voice relationship like any other in terms of nurturing and patience, because changing a relationship or even just maintaining a relationship is hard work. And our relationship to our voice really is akin to something like a marriage. It's an everyday relationship. It's a very intimate relationship. And really, it's a forever relationship. It's with you your whole life. So I guess in that sense, it's even more serious than a marriage. We're born with it and we die with it. And that's the way it is. And in order to change that relationship from something negative to something positive is not going to happen overnight, right? It's going to take some patience and, like I said, some nurturing. But the first step in that is to really stop saying or putting out there, this sort of negative vibe about it. So again, the reason that I named this podcast, it wasn't so much about how I feel in terms of my own voice, although I have my days. Today I was struggling with some vocal stuff, some allergy stuff, some sleep deprivation stuff that leads to maybe a less reliable voice than I like to have from day to day. But again, human being, and doesn't matter that I'm a professional voice person. It's still something I have to work at. And part of what makes our voice so vulnerable is that it is located in a very vulnerable place in our bodies, and it is affected by just about every aspect of our being. So, it's affected by our environment, it's affected by our health, it's affected by our mood, it's affected by just anything, you name it, and it's going to affect your voice. It's affected by social conditioning. So all of these topics are super fascinating to me. And, some of my clients over the years have even said that their favorite part of their voice lessons with me, as much as they love the technique and the repertoire and the theory and all of that, is the conversations that we have about, the conversations where we just dig deeply into that relationship, that vocal relationship that we have, and all of the ways it's affected, and all the ways it affects the world. So, I'm speaking in very broad strokes here because I'm trying to keep this first episode as short as possible and make it just sort of an introduction to, who I am and what I do and why I created this podcast. And the name of it, to get back to that, is really to do with the reaction that I get from people when they meet me, or when it's really when I meet them, because they may have seen me on stage performing and then we meet afterwards, or maybe we meet at a party and they've never seen me perform. They don't know that I'm a singer, and the person that introduces us says, "Oh, this is my friend Nikki, and she's this whatever, blah, blah, blah. She's a professional singer." Or they may even mention that I'm a vocal coach. But as soon as they find out that I use my voice professionally in any capacity, they lay into their own voice. They may say something akin to the title of this podcast, "I Hate My Voice." And it comes in different forms. It can come in forms like, "My voice sucks. I can't sing. I'm terrible. I can't carry a tune in a bucket." But there are other things that happen somewhere along their own vocal journey that, created a trauma. And so now they have a hard time, separating this thing from their past with their current relationship to their voice. So, for example, it could be negative feedback that they had received from someone, usually someone that they looked up to, like a parent or a teacher who was like, "Don't quit your day job," that type of a comment, right? I can think of comments, like right off the top of my head, I can think of 2 things that happened in my teens that absolutely devastated me and stayed with me for many years, that another person said. One was a mentor in the theater, a professional, had been a Broadway performer. And then the other was my first boyfriend and something he did that made me feel really terrible about my voice. So that aside, those stories are to come for sure. But, there's criticisms that people have of their own vocal characteristics. So there might be a whole just litany, a list of negative adjectives that they like to use about their voice. And so, you don't have to be a professional singer or speaker to benefit from vocal work. And you don't have to be a professional singer or speaker to understand this negative relationship that people have to their voices. And in fact, I don't know anybody in any field that hasn't experienced something like that at one time or another. But another thing that people come to me with isn't just about the mechanics, the mechanism of the voice or the delivery of the voice, but things that are related, like I don't know what to do with my hands or my body when I speak or when I sing. Or it might be something like, how many times have I heard someone say to me, "I don't know how to breathe." They say this to me, "I don't know how to breathe." And I'm like, literally, you would be dead if that were true. So it's not true. And it also is because there's this mystique around singing and breathing, breath and support, that is so overblown that most people come to me in their voice lessons or whatever form of study that they're taking with me, And they think they have these misconceptions about breath. And so I'm very quick to disabuse them of any of those notions about breath. It's a much simpler and more straightforward concept than we've been led to believe. So there are a lot of things about singing and using your voice professionally or just publicly that are completely false. We're taught so many things about the voice and about singing and about professionally speaking that are just not true. We think it's really elitist, or I should say we've been led to believe that it's an elitist kind of club that is reserved for people with a lot of talent or certain types of personality, and none of that is true. So I'm here to, again, disabuse you of those notions. That's part of the purpose of this podcast. And, I want to address those negative statements about the voice. I want to so badly to correct people, maybe not so much correct, but educate people on the uniqueness of their voices and the power. And just the fact that I want to remind people of the fact that, our voices literally define us as human. They're a part of us that is so unique. The gift of to quote Professor Henry Higgins, the divine gift of articulate speech is such a magical and wonderful gift. And it's a tool that we get to use to create a bridge between us and other people. And I think, we spend so much time disparaging what we have that we don't look at it that way. So that's part of my purpose for this podcast and for the work that I do as a vocal coach. So again, it's a gift, it's a tool. And I have had so many occasions in my life to feel negative feelings about my voice. I've had it fail me on a number of occasions due to either health issues or whatever outside circumstances there may have been. Even on my last trip to Paris, oh my God, I had the worst case of bronchitis I've maybe ever had, and then it relapsed. So I actually had it twice. And there I was in this huge city with a totally different pollen and allergens in the air, plus the cigarette smoke everywhere, plus the pollution level that I'm not used to. And, it exacerbated it so much. And the worst part was that I was there to sing. I was there to do concerts. And I had to cancel half my shows. And it was just devastating. And it was so tempting to just be like, oh, I fucking hate my voice. It's my voice. It's, I hate having to rely on it. I hate the fact that I can't control everything in my life and environment to ensure that it's always going to perform exactly as I anticipate. Right? So I'm on this journey right there with you. And speaking of illness, the COVID-19 pandemic led to so many revelations for me as a vocal coach and as a singer and as just a person who loves to kind of work on my voice and develop it. And those are some of those things I'm going to be sharing in future episodes as well, particularly when it comes to the kinds of benefits of vocal work that I was able to discover and nurture and grow during the COVID-19 pandemic and since. I mean, it's technically still going on. So, but the silver lining, I suppose, for myself was that it did force me to go deeper and figure out, even if I'm not able to perform ever again in public, even if I'm never able to teach an in-person voice class or lesson, like, what are these other benefits? And I came up with so many and realized really I'd been benefiting from it in those ways all along, but I'd just never really given it the thought or the attention that it deserved. So I really want to wrap this one up soon. So I just want to let you guys know that we're going to be delving into some really fascinating topics about the voice. And they're topics that are related to not only vocal power and confidence in a performative way, but again, so many other benefits that there are to be had, from the non-performative benefits to the social and connective benefits. So we're going to get into that a whole bunch on this journey together. We're also going to be delving into some of the social and cultural reasons behind our vocal self-doubt, And always, though, when we delve into these topics and we delve into the dysfunctional relationships people have, the goal, again, is to educate, to inspire, and to empower, right? It's never to like bring you down or to remind you of all the hard things about having a human voice. But again, educate, inspire, and empower. And so next time I'm going to give you a peek into how I stay motivated myself to continue with my own vocal work. And again, those unexpected benefits of vocal practice are just going to come up again and again and again. So I really hope that you'll continue to listen. I'm getting my footing in this medium, so please be patient with me as I figure it all out. But I am here to encourage you guys to develop your own vocal practice. And so, yeah, please stay tuned, and I will talk with you again really, really soon. Again, the format of the first few episodes is going to be more of just me chatting with you. But I will also be including some amazing interviews coming up in the future, starting in January of 2024. I'm going to have some just incredible guests, vocalists of every ilk, not just singers, and not just professional speakers either, because again, the voice affects every part of our lives, and there are so many incredible ways that we use it day to day. So I'm super excited to delve into those interviews in a couple of months. But meanwhile, you're going to have to put up with me and my ramblings. But I hope that you find some benefit from it, some interest in what I'm saying. And if you do, stick around and find out what's coming next. Bye-bye. Mahalo for tuning in, and I hope you'll join me again soon for another episode of I Hate My Voice. To learn more about my online vocal programs, visit my website at Deeva.Academy. That's DEEVA.Academy. You can also find me on social media with the hashtag @DeevaMusic. And don't forget, that's Deeva with 2 E's. My name is Nikki Dee. Thanks again for listening, and I'll talk to you soon. Aloha!